January 8th statement in our C Point studios to discuss Eskom as well, the burning issues such as the resignation of board chairman Jabu Mabuza. Very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Your reaction to the news that Jabu Mabuza has resigned as board chair, are you surprised at all? Did it catch you by surprise?
No, thanks for having us. Look, we welcome it. It's something as Cosatu we've been calling for some time. In August last year, when he lost confidence in the board of Eskom and the management to get us out of this crisis at Eskom and in the economy, we called for their resignation and for their removal. So we're quite pleased that he has resigned. And look, it's a correct thing to do. If the Deputy President of the Republic says that Eskom's board misled the President, then there needs to be accountability, there needs to be heads of roll. So we're quite pleased. And I think essentially Cosatu is happy that he's gone. And in fact, we would like to see the rest of the board go as well, because clearly they were not up to the job. Eskom is in a series of crises, from exploding levels of debt, massive levels of corruption, wasteful expenditure. We've yet to see significant action by Eskom's management or board to arrest these crises, which not only threaten to collapse Eskom, but in fact threaten to collapse the entire economy. So really it's a positive move, but we want to see further heads roll, especially at the Eskom management level.
Mr. Parks, prior to this development, that you were concerned over the claims that the president was misled on the matter of load shedding, but you were specific about what in particular troubled you. So obviously you were saying that heads must roll. Is this the particular head that you had in mind to roll, or was it a coterie of others?
Look, it is both. It is alarming to have a deputy president say that the board and the management team of a parastatal, key parastatal, has misled the president of the country. That should not be allowed at all, and there should be consequences for that. But I think even before then, we had lost faith in the board and the management team. Eskom's debt levels are 454 billion rand and rising, yet they've got no plan to get that under control. We've seen billions of rands being looted from Eskom. No one has been arrested. There's reports of 1,000 officials, especially management at Eskom, who are having contracts at Eskom, yet we've seen no one being dismissed or disciplined for that. There's reports every week about billions of rands being squandered by Eskom's management team, yet Eskom has not taken one single manager to a disciplinary hearing. So for us, this is a huge crisis, and we really want to see massive action taking place. We don't have faith in the management team or the board at Eskom. It is shocking that a year and a half down the road, they have yet to present a coherent way to get us out of this crisis. And it affects not just workers at Eskom, the 44,000, but it affects all 12 million workers and the families across the country. It is something that is not sustainable, and decisive action is needed, and as a matter of the highest urgency.
I would like you to comment on this statement made by Mugoni Rachitanga earlier on. We're speaking about organized labor and its role in the developmental state, but in particularly improving the lot of South Africa. And you are very critical now of Eskom, the position that the country finds itself in because of the reckless expenditure and mismanagement there. But he was saying that you yourselves are undercutting your own constituency by lacking innovation in your socio-economic demands. Do you agree with that? Do you think that you could have fought a little bit harder to not find us in this position as a country?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure exactly what Makoni was saying. Maybe he could have given us some examples. But as Labour, we've not sat on our hands on Eskom, for example. Our members at the coal plants, at the power stations, etc., have continuously exposed corruption and wasteful expenditure, often at the risk of being dismissed. Cosatu is the one which led marches against the former President Jacob Zuma. In fact, we were the first to call for his resignation. We were the first to call for the current president to be elected. And this is a time when it was very unpopular to do so. But specifically with regards to Eskom, we met with the President of the Republic, the ANC leadership, in November and December last year. We proposed many interventions and ways to get Eskom out of the crisis. This includes assisting with reducing the levels of debt from 454 billion rand to a more manageable level, 200 billion rand. We made additional proposals around dealing with corruption, wasteful expenditure, around a just transition. And we basically put on the table that we are willing as Cosatu to invest money through the PIC, which is workers' money, to save Eskom, because it is so important to workers, not only at Eskom, but in the entire economy. So as Labour, we've not sat back and just criticised. We've actually said, how can we help as Labour make a contribution, make a sacrifice, but get this thing moving? We have to save it. And our philosophy has been similar as what we did with the EDCON deal a year ago when Edcon was on the face of collapse. We worked together with business and government to save it, and we said, look, as workers, we're willing to put money on the table, we're willing to offer solutions to a turnaround plan to get this ship moving.
And that equity injection into Eskom, some would say, given some of the horror stories that we've seen with regards to pension funds of workers that have come out in this country, are you sure that you would not be further disadvantaging workers by applying money into an engine that largely seems unaccountable?
Look, our offer is not a blank check. It comes with serious conditions. But also we must recognize first that already 104 billion rand of workers' money is invested in Eskom through the PIC. So if we allow Eskom to collapse, that 104 billion rand will go out the window immediately. We have 44,000 jobs at Eskom directly, but let's also be realistic that all 12 million South African workers' jobs depend upon Eskom. If there is no Eskom, there is no economy. So we have to save it. It's not like a normal company where you can allow it to go under the table and only those workers are affected. But our conditions to saving Eskom through the debt intervention is conditional upon those who have looted being arrested and sent to prison and their assets being confiscated, those managers who have engaged in mismanagement be fired and their pensions be attached. It's also conditional upon no workers being retrenched, there be no privatization, and there be clear efforts to save Eskom from allowing it to produce its own renewable energy, to investing in a just transition for coal workers and so forth. So it's not a blank check, it's conditional. And we recognize that the PIC, for example, doesn't have unlimited funds. This is a once-off intervention. We cannot do this every year. And that's why those managers, the looters in the state and the private sector must be fired, must be arrested, their assets attached. Because as you say, we can't afford to bail them out every single day, but we recognize how important Eskom is, and we simply cannot afford, in any sober mind, to allow it to collapse.
At this case, whose head should roll? We've seen Jabu Mabuza saying he's stepping down. You yourselves pointed out that the quote-unquote misleading of the president has raised questions about his credibility as a leader. Then who else should be held to account for this?
Look, the entire board, we feel, should go. They've not performed up to scratch. Some of the comments have been quite alarming, including some of the comments I made at Parliament complaining about the minister interfering, yet not willing to take responsibility for their own failures, which forced the minister to intervene. But specifically want to see the management go at Eskom. It is this management which is still largely in place, which has been there for years, which has brought Eskom to the brink of collapse. The management is the one which has allowed the explosion of looting, the billions of rands of wasteful expenditure, and have yet failed, despite a year and a half of additional bailouts, etc., from government, to come up with a serious plan. And we are simply running out of time. As Cosatu, we want to see a serious plan put in place by the time the Minister of Finance tables his budget speech on the 20th of February, roughly. If we don't have a plan by then, we're going to find that South Africa will be downgraded to a junk status, which is going to have a massive flight of investment coming to us. It's going to see interest rates, inflation, etc. rising. It's going to squeeze government and squeeze workers. So really, we want to see the entire management being hauled over the coals, and those who have messed up must simply be thrown out and the pensions attached.
All right, thank you very much. Cosatu's parliamentary representative Matthew Parks joining us from our Sea Point studios.